Alrighty, this is just We the People News, okay? At it again, y'all. Not attorney, not giving legal advice. I also don't want to be chained down to the bar union, okay? Alrighty. Never look straight forward, always look around you, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Keep that damn head out of the sand, y'all. Quit putting yourself in this little box and say, oh, the mighty government is here to protect us, okay? Um, Sorry, got carried away. I don't believe in a national or state at the present time, the here and now. Okay, it doesn't mean it doesn't have its benefits. Okay, it's just right now I believe I'm American Union, and I was uh, born on the land of New Mexico Republic. Okay, somehow or another they tricked my parents and put me in a corporate body. I'm led to believe and do believe. All right, but let's go through this. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to make this quick, but I'm not. Um, Officer's making a claim. Okay, you are speeding. He's making a claim. Okay, you go in the courtroom. You got to fill out paperwork. Not guilty, guilty, no contest. You just now made a claim. Okay, so therefore the burden of proof is off that officer. Now he's a witness that you commit some crime that you admit to. All right, you just became a claimant, even though the paperwork says defended. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. State of Texas that never shows up for court and stay in silence acquiescence, whatever I say or do. You tacit agreed to my terms. Allegedly. Quasi-contract crap. Alright, sorry.
What's up? Welcome
Don't
to
get me
Become a
started.
State National. I am not an attorney and by no means is this legal advice. I'm just some guy who's regurgitating information I came across that seems to make sense. So do
By the way, this is educational purposes only.
what you will with the information you get from this, but I find it pretty interesting. So this is part one of Common Law Remedy to Beat Traffic Tickets, putting the law on your side. It's a free ebook. It's free to download and free to share. And I have to go to traffic court here pretty soon. And I've never been, so I've been researching and I came across this. There's a lot of great information, so let's get into it. The subject of traffic infractions and the citations that can follow are relatively recent development in the course of social rules law and rule lawmaking over the past several hundred years. It has only been within the past 100 years or so, since the invention and implementation of the automobile in societies, that this phenomenon has occurred. The problem with these so-called laws is that not one of them has ever been passed into public law. They are private law. Why is that? Because they would infringe on the constitutionally protected rights of the people, and therefore cannot be made part of public law, as that law was originally conceived in America. Statutory law jurisdictions, where private law has been legislated, written down, and passed into effect in affecting only a certain circumstance that people find themselves in, have over time been the source of the majority of these laws. In this regard, it becomes incumbent upon the individual to know the difference and significance between public law and private law in order to ascertain when or even if a law may be applicable to him personally. Most of these social rule laws were written to protect people from unjust circumstances, and in many instances are justified in being enforced. Anyone who breaks a rule of law that is recognized by both statutory and common law jurisdictions should certainly expect to have to answer for their misdeeds. However, not every infraction carries with it a cause which violates another person's rights or property. Such incidents are often referred to as victimless incidents. Yet they are treated by the legal system that most of us are familiar with as though they were an actual victim who was violated. How can this be, when there is no actual cause of action to be decided? In other words, no one putting forth an actual claim upon which relief may be granted. and yet these cases get adjudicated every day with hardly anyone contesting them. There's no doubt that municipalities and states are raking in large revenues based on people's ignorance of the law and how it works in matters involving traffic citations. In the case of citations for speeding, only about 3% of these tickets are actually contested. This means that 97% of people pay up, and the legal system counts on this low number of contestants for explicit I can't even say that word sake, since the courts are already overwhelmed with legitimate litigation. And because most people today have become conditioned to be ignorant of their rights, the answer to how the legal system gets away with being able to charge people with and prevail in cases in which there's no actual victim has to do with a little known fact. This fact is not taught in driver education courses or anywhere else in the education system, and is therefore little known by most people. And the fact is, when you sign the application form in order to obtain a driver's license, and later the actual license itself, what you are agreeing to is in essence known as an adhesion contract, which is in a classification of contract known as quasi-contract. Quasi means as if, or in a sense or manner, seemingly in part. In other words, a contract in name only, but not a lawfully enforceable contract. In essence, on the face of it, you agree to abide by the traffic codes and statutes put in place by the supervising authority in exchange for obtaining the license. The driver's license provides one with permission to use the roadways for a commercial purpose. Otherwise, it would be unlawful for one to carry on one's commercial business on the public thoroughfares without such permission and adherence to the published regulations. When you are not using the roadway for a commercial application, you are within your rights to travel without obstruction by the state's regulatory rules. And herein is where the state takes advantage of your ignorance of commercial law. There are people who, when asked for their license, registrations, and insurance, and they are not acting in commerce, provide their passport as the authorization to travel outside of commercial activity. To hand over the driver's license without stipulating a condition like, "This is for competency only, not for identification," is a prima facie, on the face of it, indication that the driver is driving in commerce. A conscientious reader will look into the fact regarding the use of a passport before attempting to use it in the real world. People who know what they are doing have been known to be left alone on a traffic stop when first displaying their passport rather than their driver's license. By the same token, if you say a farmer and you are hauling hay in your pickup truck on a public roadway in order to deliver to a customer, you are assumed to be acting in commerce and must display a driver's license when asked to do so. The point.
So that right there is an interesting process, okay? So, to stay out of commerce, all right, you can go pick up that hay, take to your house, okay, and then you sell it in a private contract. Remember Hell versus Hinkle, okay? Hell versus Hinkle, as I'm not getting any benefits from the state. We are allowed to have private contracts, and the states cannot intervene in a private contract. This is where everybody gets lost at. So I can sell that hay because it's my hay. Now the commerce part is you'll go pick up that hay and take it to a feedlot where you're getting paid for the transportation to deliver somebody else's product to the feedlot. Or that feedlot bought the hay and you're doing the transportation from the place to the feedlot. That is commerce. But if you own that hay, it is your hay. You're allowed to haul your own stuff. Okay? This is where we all get lost because we're under the illusion that we all have to have business license to do anything we can do within the realm of business, whether it's private contract.
that there are occasions when people are acting in commerce, even though
It's educational purposes. I do your own research. Okay, I'm not an attorney.
there may be other occasions when they are not. Adhesion contracts are a standardized contract form offered to consumers of mostly government goods and services on essentially a take it or leave it basis, without affording an applicant a realistic opportunity to bargain the terms. Under such conditions, that person cannot obtain the desired product or services except by acquiescing in form of to the contract, which in this case allows him to act in commerce with limited liability. A distinctive feature of adhesion contract is that the weaker party has no realistic choice as to its terms. When you allow the officer at the roadside to see your license and registration, you are in essence testifying against yourself, providing prima facie on the face of it.
I'm going to stop right there. So everybody is actually not knowing, but that's what they're doing, right? Facebook, he's in contract. Okay. Google, he's in contract. Everybody is doing a he's in contract. You go to rent to own. Who's the man and woman signing that contract with you? It's a he's in contract. Okay. It always benefits them and not you, which cannot be a real contract. It's a false contract. But they can deny us. If you want to be on Facebook, well, you don't have to be on Facebook. So you either take it or leave it. Well, now you're under duress because you want to speak to your family by this way, and you must go ahead and sign it to order to accept their business. All right? We've gotten so far out of the original intent of contract law.
Evidence that you have contracted with the state to follow its rules of the road after you realize what you've done. It can almost seem hopeless to try to fight this. However, this is far from being true. As bad as this may appear at first glance, there are ways to overcome these presumptions of law in order to bring the law onto your side. You just have to know how to use the law, common law, in order to overcome the law of corporate rules, statutes, and receive a fair and just outcome. That's what this small book is about. Once you know and understand a few important principles of law and how they are used, you can effectively put an end to these baseless nuisance infractions that may trouble you from time to time. At this point, it should be pointed out that it will be to the reader's benefit to read this document all the way through to the end first before attempting to arrive at any conclusions about the information being disclosed, and in any of the sections to seek out clarification of any words or ideas that you become unclear about before proceeding on with your reading. It is of the utmost importance that you understand the meaning and implication behind every sentence in this document, because when dealing with law, the law works to eliminate any ambiguity within individual presentation. This is to say, if you don't know what you're saying or the legal implications behind what you are testifying to in court, it could work against your better interests. Everything that a person needs to know in order to successfully apply it toward a nuisance traffic infraction has been painstakingly thought out and presented based on direct personal experience in this book. In other words, there are no quick and easy answers here beyond your competent understanding of the concepts presented and their application. You cannot just skim this information and expect to understand any of it. You will need to work for your understanding by paying attention to the details. In order to satisfy any doubts that may linger in your mind, you may have to supplement what you find here from other sources. As a matter of fact, you are encouraged to look up anything you read here that you think is doubtful or dubious in its assertion in order to prove, as much as possible, the truth of the assertion. Just understand that there may be instances where your proof may come only after you make a positive stand to uphold your rights in a matter. so that's the introduction. It gets really good moving forward, but I really get what he's saying about make sure you understand what you're saying. Just don't recite stuff you hear on TikTok or YouTube or, you know what I mean? Actually know what you're saying. That way you don't look like a clown.
I agree. Alright. Becoming a state national, okay? Right there. He's only done this for a couple of videos that I've seen. Again, I just recently came up with this. But it's educational. There is no such things as bad learning. There may be such things as implying what you learn in the wrong way. But always educate yourself and quit thinking inside this box. So remember, y'all, this country was based on the common law. And just like everything else, in England, Roman civil law intervened. Alright? And when these attorneys came from England and entered our country, well, they brought this Roman civil law, and of course, look where we are today. Okay? Look where we're at today, y'all. We're supposed to have inalienable freedom. They're not supposed to put a lien on us without a victim. There must be a victim. And everything is state victims or this victim, but never who's the man or woman making these claims. People think about it. The state cannot be a victim. It's not alive. You did not cause it harm. Alright. Anyway, that's my rant and rave. Till next time, these are we the people. Bye, y'all.